Hello there, TBC. Welcome back to yet another episode from across the pond. We have the wonderful, amazing life coach, Stephanie Nicoletti, and we're going to discuss a lot of stuff to do with like dating, male versus female, not inciting any gender wars, but we're going to get a perspective of a lovely woman. So, welcome, Stephanie. How are you today?
Fucking fantastic. Coming at you from New York, Stephanie Nicoletti. Just kidding. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're great. It's good. That weren't planned at all, by the way.
No, not at all.
This is the first time we spoke. We didn't have a little chat beforehand, so
Yeah, no.
I suppose before we kind of get into it, then, like, if you would be so kind to just kind of tell our followers and listeners just a little bit about yourself and the page and everything that you'd kind of do, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm known as Life Coach Stephanie Nicoletti. I'm an author and a life and relationship coach. So I specialize in communication, dating, relationships, dynamics of all kinds, but particularly romantic ones. And I've been doing it since 2001 officially is when I got certified, but I've been life coaching since about 2018. And my book is called Dating with Purpose, How to Find the One in 1 Year. And it kind of just goes over how modern dating and traditional dating kind of differ and how to find the balance in this modern day and age.
Wow, that's really interesting. So obviously I was just going to ask off the back of that. So you've been doing it from, did you say 2001?
No, 2018.
Oh, is when 2001. Sorry, that's my bad. I've misheard you on.
2021 is when I got certified.
Sorry, I missed the 20. I was going to say that's a long time I've been doing it. I suppose I was going to say then. No, I was going to say on the back of that then. Do you find it's kind of changed obviously a lot, like, and now obviously everything's a lot more like online dating and stuff like that. I know we'll probably get into that a little bit later on, but what's kind of your thoughts on that? Because I know you said your book is called like, How to Find the Perfect One in 1 year. Yes. How would you kind of see that? Do you know, like online dating versus in real life dating, and like what's your views on that?
Oh boy. What are my views on that?
Well done.
Okay. Well, I mean, when I was growing up in, I was born in 1986, so I'm 39 years old. And I have gone through just chasing boys in the playground and exchanging notes and having to actually walk up to someone. Oh, the FYE guy is cute. I have to go walk up to him and say that. And now people are just on an app like it's DoorDash or something. And it's made it so much easier to the point that it's too easy because now no one is taking it seriously anymore. So it's got a lot of good and bad aspects, but I feel like modern dating has taken almost the seriousness out of dating and turns it into just a game.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. Like you said, it kind of, I suppose, like you said, there's pros and cons to it, because I always see it as like you just said, then it's good for people maybe who have anxiety or, struggle to kind of approach someone, so they can just kind of sit behind their phones and, like swipe and pick whoever they like or whatever. But then, like you said, it's also far too comforting for people to kind of be dismissive and, like ghost people and all that kind of stuff. Whereas you wouldn't really do that in person. If you were chatting to someone and you formed a connection, you'd probably be more obliged to, I don't know, stick out a little bit. Whereas when it is just online and digital, people will just be like, oh, I'm not feeling this. Like, I just won't reply. Yeah. And like, you just wouldn't ever get that in person, would you? Which is crazy. But then I think on the flip side, I think it has its pros in terms of like, you can filter it down to a T, to like what your type is. Whereas you probably wouldn't find that, like if you was down your local pub and you, I don't know, chatting to someone. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's definitely got pros and cons, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, really, because it's obviously grown shitloads over the past few years, and it's everywhere now, which is just crazy. But yeah, I suppose I was going to ask as well. So, what's your thoughts on like kind of like women in today's world and dating versus how it used to be in the past?
I think. Well, sorry, women. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so women, they used to, well, women follow the men's lead typically, right? So, women in their feminine energy want to follow the man's lead. But when men are not leading the way that they used to, or really unsure themselves of how to be proper leaders, women are all over the place. They think guys just want sex. They think guys want
Yeah.
someone who's like dressing skanky, or they don't know what guys want, because guys will say that they want, a proper woman and a wife material, and they don't like all these things. But then everything they look at online is the opposite of what they say they like. So there's a lot of mixed messages going on. And when girls are just growing up, they think guys want sexy, hot, sexy. Oh yeah, like the Hawk 2 girl or some crap like that. When in reality, they're looking for wife material, but they're also attracted, it seems like, to the opposite of wife material. So it's like there's a lot of confusion and a lot of miscommunication. And I think it all comes down to communication and being clear on what we want and saying that upfront.
Yeah, I think a lot of that of what a person deems they're attracted to is environmental, like what their sort of parents' marriage might have looked like to them growing up.
Mm.
If it's all volatile and they're always arguing and they're always at each other's throats, mum or dad's always in a mood with the other, that's what love looks like for them. So that if that person was to meet a nice sort of genuine person and they treated him well, it'd feel alien to them because that's not what love looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you had a person whose mum and dad were very affectionate, very warm, very what's the word, like welcoming, a nice energy about them, and they went out into the world and were trying to pursue a partner, male or female, and there was someone bringing sort of drama into their lives or someone who was always causing like a bit of a fuss, that would repel the person who's seen warmth, affection, good positive energy and stuff like that. So I think a lot of it is subjected by the person's environment, what they're into, because I've seen and heard girls say, "Oh, I just want a nice boy," and then they'll get a nice boy and they'll be like, "Oh, it's like where's the like it's
Yeah.
boring. Where's like where's the excitement and all that stuff?" It's like, well, you said 6 months ago you wanted a nice lad who treated you well and respected you and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
now you've got it, you kind of want to bite it away, and it's like you might not get that again, kind of thing. So, what do you
So
think
I
about that? Do you
definitely.
think I'm onto something, or is that just bullshit?
Okay, so here is the thing about the whole nice guy theory, okay? Women are serious when they say they want someone who is kind and respectful and nice, but it's not so much a nice guy that they want. It's a good man. So they want a good partner, but that doesn't mean to the detriment of being interesting and fun and exciting. You could be an interesting, fun, exciting person who is also kind and compassionate and loving. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of the time when people say nice guy, a guy who might be very nice, but maybe he's very shy. Maybe he's like a little demure. Maybe he's not very fun or exciting or interesting to talk to or adventurous. So then the bad boy fills that void for some of them in terms of, oh, well, he's exciting. He knows how to take charge. So being, in your masculine power, being strong and stoic, but also fun and exciting and funny, you could be all that and still be a kind person and a loving person, rather than just nice, like, oh, I'm afraid of my own shadow kind of person. You know what I mean? So I think they get the word nice mixed up with either just nice or just like they treat you like crap and they're a narcissist. And sometimes it is extreme, but finding someone who's balanced is the most important thing, and understanding that nice doesn't mean boring, you know?
Yeah. Those two sort of have cross sections, I think, in people's minds, which they
Yeah,
probably shouldn't do, to be fair. But if you hear the word, "Oh, he's a nice guy," I bet
yeah.
you the person who you say that to will go, "Oh, so he's boring then." And I don't know if we need to do a bit to sort of get them two
Yes.
syllables or meanings like away from each other, because it doesn't necessarily mean that. But I read a book called The Psychology of Attraction, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember like a vivid passage of it. It said, if the woman behaves like a mum, she's got a boy. If she behaves like a woman, she's got a man.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
is there some truth in that? Because a lot of the times, like you said, the men should take the lead, and women are attracted by that. By initially, like not having to think. Like if I'm with my man, my guy, I don't have to think. Like he's gonna sort everything out, organise, say we're gonna go eat here, we're gonna go eat there. Not in a controlling or like a we're eating there, don't give a fuck about what you say. It's a
Yeah.
we're eating there. It's like a taking control without being a controlling person.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like paradoxical, but that's what I think women kind of expect. And sort of, I think the biggest compliment you can give a man is, when I'm around you, I don't have to think, because
Yeah.
the sort of the guy just sort of like not sorts everything out, because that takes power away from the woman. I'm not saying that, but it's a case of,
Just
I
take a
feel,
charge.
to just to take charge. If you need my input, I'm here. If not, let's go do it.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good to be a power couple and have that power dynamic. Because, like you said, if the woman has to be a mother to this boy, essentially, even if they're the same age or he's somehow a little bit older, and she's like, okay, well, now I'm stressed and panicked all the time, that's going to come off as nagging. That's going to come off as needy,
Yeah.
clingy, because now she feels stressed all the time about just base level things like having to worry, is he talking to other women? Is he going to gamble the money away? You know what I mean? But when a man is in his stoic power, when he's in his alpha power, not alpha like me, Tarzan, you, Jane type of thing, but when a man is in his power, then at least the woman can just calm down and the woman is going to be playful. When you see a girl who's being playful and sweet and romantic and able to just relax, she's going to be respecting him. And men, I feel like at the end of the day, they want respect and they want to be admired. And when a man is in his power and a woman is in her power, you're going to have that perfect dynamic. And it's going to be that like hand in glove. And it doesn't mean the woman isn't strong or capable. She's probably very strong and capable, but she doesn't have to worry. She can nurture, she can do her part, and he can do his part. And it's very healthy that way. People just think of it as toxic masculinity or, going back to the 50s, but really it's not.
No, I love that. Sorry, we have a bit of a system when one of us is going to ask a next question, we'll nudge each other like that, and we both like nudged each other at the same time. But
Okay.
I absolutely love that, and I couldn't agree more. I was going to say, I think sometimes though, and this is just my opinion, I think it can be like
Mhm.
subjective to the person, because
Yeah.
I know of instances where, say, I'm not ever going to name names, but I know of other couples where, say, the woman's been very independent and takes lead, and the fella is always like going out with his mates and not doing his dad duties and all stuff like that. And then I know that the woman's been like, I just want someone who's, independent and takes lead and does this and does that. And then like
Responsible.
I know another couple where they do that, and then the other woman's like, "Oh, I just want someone who's a bit more fucking fun and da 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 da." But then that person doing everything that the friend wants, and it's like sometimes, and I'm not just saying it's all women because it's men too, but I think a lot of the time it feels like, I don't know, like someone always wants something more from like the other person, and I think, like me personally, I've been doing a lot of like I listen to Jay Shetty quite a lot. You'll probably know him,
Yep.
quite big in the US, but he's amazing for all that kind of stuff. Like I listen to him all the time, and it's like therapy just listening to him. And like I think like one of the main things for me in a relationship is communication, like
Hmm.
100%. And I've quoted this quite a few times. I don't actually think I've said it on a podcast yet, but one thing that I love, what Jay Shetty did say in one of his episodes, he said, the thing with communication, he said, when you're in a relationship and say if you have a little disagreement or whatever, he said, it's not about who wins and like the other person loses and stuff like that. He said, because you shouldn't have to do a compromise or something. He said, because at the end of the day, you're both a team and you should come to a conclusion where it suits both of you. He said, because if you have a disagreement or an argument and one person wins the argument, the other person loses, he said, guess what? He said, you've both lost. He said, because you're a
Yeah.
team. Do you know what I mean? And I resonated so much for that, because like in past relationships for me, I've always been that person who I pride myself so much on being able to put myself in someone else's shoes and understand it from their perspective. And I'd never ever want to be like, I'm going to win this argument, because I'd always want us to be happy and on a team. And like we've
Hmm.
spoken loads about stuff in the past. I think there's like I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's like a
Man.
100% rule where if one of you is functioning at 80% and the other one's functioning at 20%, communicate about that openly and honestly and be like, I'm really
Yeah.
sorry at the minute. I'm just a bit shitty and I'm a bit low. And, the other parent might be, doing a lot of the cleaning, doing a lot of the parenting and then it's when it gets thrown back in the other person's face. And I just like, for me, like, it's just so much about communication and being on the
Yeah.
same team and like, having your partner and like something that me and you both always have said in our past relationships is like, we'd always be like super tuned into our partner's feelings, and if they're struggling at that moment in time or overstimulated with the kids and stuff like that, we'd always be like, you go and get yourself a bath, I'll sort them out, and like sometimes that's not reciprocated back for the man. Like a lot of the times, like it's very much like, why are you so stressed out, you sold this, you sold that, and like that's something that me and you have struggled with in the past, isn't it? Like, I'm not making it about men versus women and stuff like that. That's just our own personal experience. And I know that I've absolutely just rambled on about 5 different topics with you there.
Okay, so number one,
but,
you are absolutely right about communication being the number one factor that solves all these different problems. Because yes, we might have specific roles that we in the relationship take on, but like you said, someone might be just completely stressed from work, someone might be injured, someone might have lost a family member. Things happen, and men have feelings too. And just communicating about that stuff and being a team, being a partnership, being a power couple means that when one of you is, falling behind a little bit or stressed or overworked or something, allow that person to have a me day. Allow that person, if they just want to have some chicken wings and play a video game or watch a sports game or something, give them that day. If the girl wants to take a bath or watch a movie or just kind of like relax and be completely silent for a day, give her that day. Like, everyone is still human at the end of the day. Everyone goes through stress. And especially if you're a parent, you're going to go through that even more because you are not only thinking of yourself, you're thinking about how you're raising your child. So yeah, I think talking about stuff in the very, very beginning of the relationship is key. So when you're on a first date, it's not just like, oh, you're hot, you're sexy, whatever. Like, you should be talking about the serious stuff. Like, the first 3 dates or so should almost be like an interview, like a nice interview, but like an interview. Because this is the person that you are going to be potentially spending your life with. And if you are just focused on looks and appearance and, oh, what do you like to do for fun? None of that crap's going to matter if you find out your values are misaligned a month, 3 months, a year in. If you find out you have different views on something that's really, really important to you. If you find out you have different conflict resolution styles or something, that's stuff to like talk about at the beginning. What are your boundaries? Talk about your boundaries. Like, what bothers you? What are your pet peeves? Like, ask all the questions up front and find these things out. That's how you're going to know if someone's right for you. And that's how to find the one in 1 year, because you don't have to worry about it a year later.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to say, I know that you're itching to ask a question, so I just want to ask very quickly on the back of that.
Yeah.
So when you just said then about like establishing boundaries and being upfront and everything from like in the first 3 dates and all stuff like that, could you not also see that being a little bit
Intense
to be like on the first 3 dates or whatever, to start being like, so do you do this, do you do that? Do you know, it's like getting that fine line, isn't it? Because I've had dates in the past where you're getting asked shit on like date number 1 and I'm like, whoa, that's a bit keen, and then it can repel you a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but you need to find out if someone is actually serious. And if they're afraid to have a conversation day one, they're probably not ready or mature enough for a relationship right off the bat. They probably want something more casual, something more fun. And if they do, that's the first question to ask. Are you looking for something casual, or are you looking for something that's actually going to potentially last? I'm not saying marry me right here and now, but I'm saying, are you looking for anything, or are you just freewheeling it out here? And the right person,
Definitely.
like, I met my current boyfriend in April, and on the first date, he was grilling me, and I liked it because I'm the same exact. I'm like, did you read my book? You don't even know I'm an author yet. You don't even know me. But he was asking me, like, what are your boundaries? What do you think about this? What do you think about being friends with exes? I'm like, you're asking me the same questions that I would have asked you. And you're like getting, like, it's just you're filling out a survey essentially. Like you're streamlining. Is this person even worth going on these dates, spending all this money, spending all this time? Time is money,
Yeah.
and life is short. So, if someone's wrong for you, find out right off the bat, at least with the basic stuff. And now we have fun all the time. We go on vacations and travel, and all we do is have fun because we already have that established. It's like bing, bang, boom, done. Now we just have fun. We already know where we stand.
Just one more little one. Cool. So, has he read your book then? Have you found that out?
Yes. Not
Before
at
the
first.
date.
Yes, he did. And, it's funny because all the stuff that we talked about, it not before, but afterwards. He read it after.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is crazy. Like, how do you... But again, like, we're both ENTJ personalities. We're both very direct, both very leader types. So for me, it actually does take a lot for me to take the backseat. I'm used to being in control. I'm used to being the alpha. I'm used to even having to be in charge of everything, like I grew up really independent and I've always been like in a managerial role. So for me to be with someone who I can trust to take the lead and just be like, okay, I can just calm down, I can relax, I don't have to be so intense, I don't have to worry, I don't have to stress because he's got it, that's a great feeling.
Is it a great feeling, and does that make you sort of innately more attracted to the person when you can
Oh
do
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah, the fact that I respect him, that's the most attractive trait. Not that he's also funny or adventurous or fit or anything. Like, if it's just looks, he's great. If it's just personality, if it's just intelligence, all those are great separately. But for me to trust the person and know that I can rely on them long term, that makes everything else a bonus,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a sort of like a bit of a scenario-based one because we like to give people some solid advice on the pod and stuff like that. So if there are a couple married or not, but it's like a long-term thing and they do struggle with communication, like their conflict resolution is one might be a person who shuts down and the other one might get like really nasty or something like that. Like, how would they begin to build building blocks or foundations to sort of become better at their own shortcomings, conflict resolution, and then making sure that they both know that we are a partnership, like we should be united in absolutely everything. Like, how does a couple sort of start that process of sort of they've tried for 10 years their own style and it's been shit. How do you start to sort of build those foundational blocks of like a better future going forward in terms of communication and things like that?
Well, first, it's really, really important to not put the blame on one another because then when you start to feel defensive, you're not really going to want to work with that person and you're not going to feel open and vulnerable to be able to talk things out. You're going to be just on the defense, your wall is up, and it's not going to be very easy. So when you're not angry is the time to really start working on that because then you can set ground rules. Like, we're not going to bring up this again. We're not going to bring up this. We're going to talk about it in a way, we're going to fight fair. If we need to take a breather and go to separate rooms for, 15 minutes or an hour and just cool off so we're not saying things that we can't take back, it's better than walking out the door and be like, fuck you, get out of here, I don't want to talk to you, you're a piece of shit, just like your mother. Like, you know what I mean? You want to make sure you want to fight fair because, like, trust me, like, I was married before and it was a very, very toxic, very abusive marriage. And every rule that could be broken, he completely broke. Like, talking to your friends and family about your partner, talking crap about them, that's bad. The relationship should be sacred. It doesn't mean that you can't confide in like a best friend or a therapist or something if there's something seriously wrong, but you don't want to talk down about your partner to someone else because then, when you solve it, when you resolve it, you're going to go hang out with that friend and they're going to be giving the side eye to your partner like, oh, you're still with them. And they're not going to know all the good things. They're just going to know that one thing you told them when you're upset. So having ground rules about how you're going to fight fair and if you're in conflict, just really trying to get the other person's perspective about why they're feeling that way and where it's coming from versus just like, oh, well, you're crazy for thinking that. You're crazy for assuming that. Like, you don't want to give absolutes like that. You want to be just fair and be the person that you want to marry is what I always say too. So make sure you're always working on yourself. That way you're not expecting too much from someone and then not doing anything on your end to make sure that you're being the kind of partner. Like, look at yourself. Are you someone you would want to date? If not, then that's something to work on before starting to date.
Yeah, that's really like blown my mind that a bit, because I read something the other day and it said if your daughter came home with a man like you, would you be happy? And
Mm-hmm.
if it, and it said below it, about like a good space below it, if the answer was no, change.
Yeah,
And it
absolutely.
was just like, oh, like wow, like if there's a lad out there reading that or whatever, and you look at it and go, I'd fucking hate it if
Mm-hmm.
she brought someone like me home, then you're doing something wrong. But if you answered instantly like fuck yeah, then it's like you're on the right path, because
Yeah.
obviously that leads into like parenting and shit like that. But like if you had a daughter, even if you don't have kids, and your answer was no, like you need to fucking change and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
is it important for continuous work on oneself
Yeah.
throughout a relationship? A lot of self reflection, a lot of check ins as like a team. Is
Mm-hmm.
to try and get to points where it doesn't go up here in anger. It's like
Well, you start building resentment and stuff as well.
yeah,
Innit?
because
Yeah.
a lot of the times people can shut down and they won't say what's on their mind, and it'll could be like a month, and then it'll be like, well, it's just last month you did this, and it's
Yeah.
like, why the fuck didn't you tell me then? Because now you've waited a
Right.
month. I'm fucking fuming because I've been going about my day thinking we're all good, and you've been
We
sitting there
can't all be from New York.
harboring information from me, giving me side eyes, little fucking bitchy faces.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're telling me, and then because you're not going to be able to receive that well, because now you know. I knew there was something wrong with you, and you didn't fucking tell me. So, is it important to not let it get to that place where it
Yeah.
can get heated and
Yeah.
it can get nasty? Even if you're not arguing or there's nothing wrong, is it
Yeah.
important to have check-ins with yourselves individually and as a team?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think so, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a good way to go about it, especially early on in a relationship or when things start getting busy, like you do have children and you're more focused on trying to get everything, right in your life outside of the relationship. I think it's good to have monthly check-ins and just say, are you happy? Is there anything that I could improve on to make you happier? Is there anything that I'm doing that's upsetting you that maybe I'm not aware of? And just kind of having that open communication. That way it's not going to go from annoyance to this is an issue or resentment. Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like it helps massively with the communication too. So, like you said, even if there is nothing wrong in the relationship at that moment in time, I think it's really good to, like you said, maybe just do a check-in, and maybe that month you might not need it or something, but even if you just sit down, like you said, and maybe you draft up like a templated thing where it says like things that maybe bugged me this month, and as well, I think it's good that during that conversation, it's clear as anything, like that you can't get arsey with each other, and you can't, do you know what I mean? You can't go into it and then take it away. Like you if you're mature enough and can communicate well enough, like that conversation you have for that 30 minutes or whatever, it just
Yeah.
stays there. You both understand the assignment, like you both know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and then you walk away from it and grow together.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
not personal attacks. It's just I'm communicating what I'm feeling, and then you're
Yeah.
going to do the same. I'm going to receive, accept, and act. You're going to do the same. Winner, winner. Let's go to the pub. Kind of vibe.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas it can get to a point where someone will say something, and then, like you said
Mm-hmm.
before, defensive, and then anger comes out because you get backed into a corner. It might be like a childhood thing where if you felt tiny, you'd
Mm-hmm.
lash out, so you felt this big when in reality you felt that big. But yeah,
Yeah.
understanding that they're not personal attacks in that scenario where you're having your monthly check-ins, being real with each other, being honest and everything like that, that just take it on the chin, act, and then
Mm-hmm.
go watch a film, have some popcorn or some shit.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
jump in quickly there as well, Stephanie. Sorry, I don't know whether it'll be different in the UK to the US, but I'm sure I've like heard and read stuff that like therapy is a lot more of a normal thing in the US, whereas in the UK it's probably a little bit more like, do you know, like it's got a lot better recently, hasn't it? Like a lot more people do it and talk openly about it. But I know I've heard like interviews and stuff in the US, like people just do it in general anyway because it's really good to do. And like I've done that in the past where I've said about doing couples therapy because I think it'd just be a really good thing to do to keep your relationship strong and all stuff like that. And I've had it kind of thrown back at me in the past and been like, if we need couples therapy, then we shouldn't be together. And I've been like, but I think it's good though to kind of communicate and with like an impartial person and like maybe address a few things. Because like you said, if you do go to friends or family and speak to them, like 90% of the time, then people are always going to back you because
there's going to be bias involved in that.
So what is your thoughts on that? Like if someone did do, some form of couples counselling therapy thing, maybe like once a month instead, maybe where you just go in a little check-in. I don't know. Would you think you shouldn't be together if you're doing stuff like that, or do you think that's a healthy thing to do?
I think it's almost better to do pre-marriage couples therapy over doing it after the fact, because actually a lot of the time couples therapy doesn't even work because a lot of the time it might make it feel pitted against one another versus doing your individual therapy, doing all the healing, doing everything you have to do before you get into that marriage, before you get into that serious committed relationship, because then it's not putting a Band-Aid on it after it's already happened. It's preparing for it and learning these skills before you even have to potentially deal with it. And a lot of people are in therapy and they're in them for years and years and years and years, and it just becomes like a never-ending opening of a wound almost. That's why I went for life coach versus being a therapist or something like that, because I believe in healing the past, talking about it, being vulnerable, getting it all out. But then I feel like at a certain point, we need to take ourselves from here and now and just say, that may have happened, but I'm not going to let that define me. And I'm not going to let that change who I am or trigger me every single day. No, I'm going to take that and I'm going to grow stronger from it. I'm going to be a better partner for that. The mistakes I made, the things that happened to me, I'm going to be stronger for it. And I'm going to utilize that to help other people and to be a better person and not just stay stuck in that forever. So I think therapy is good, especially if you've had extreme things happen in your life. But I feel like a lot of people use it as a crutch forever versus just being like, all right, where am I right now? Where do I want to be tomorrow? Where do I want to be in 5-10 years? And how do I get there right here and now, despite all that crap,
Yeah.
And doing the individual stuff, I think is a lot more important than couples therapy after the fact. Couples therapy has a pretty low success rate because at that point, the issues are so far gone and there's so much resentment, and a lot of people just can't handle what happens after the fact, and it's almost the beginning of the end at that point. I think it does work for some people, but that's kind of my hot take on that.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Quick toilet break, and then we'll get back and we'll talk about the game.
Yeah,
okay.
Give me 2 minutes, Stephanie.
I'll ask a question.
Okay.
I'll have the floor. Yeah, so we've got so many questions as well, like, because it is such an interesting kind of thing at the moment, especially like because like you said, you can kind of go into it and then it branches out into so many different areas. I know that we briefly touched on before the being friends with like an ex-partner. I know you mentioned briefly, and when you said that, it kind of sprung to mind. Like I know what the answer is going to be. It's a pretty stupid question, but I was going to say, like, what's your thoughts on kind of like cheating? Because I know, like you said, when you get with someone and you build chemistry, I always think like when someone cheats on someone and they get with the person they've cheated with, I always think like, how can you build a relationship on trust when you've started it on betraying someone? Do you know what I mean? Like I've never cheated on a partner before in my life because I've always said like I just don't understand it. I think like one, if you love that person, why would you hurt them in that way? And then secondly, I think like I don't know. I just think like if I felt the need to want to cheat, I'd so much rather just end the relationship and then start a new one. Do you know what I mean? And I just always think like because I've never done it, I always wonder how it is on the receiving end when they do. And I always think like, do they have trust issues of each other? Do they surely not trust each other? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if you got any thoughts on that kind of topic.
Oh yeah. I have a lot on that one.
Yeah.
Let me get my lip gloss.
There
Oh
we
my
go. Just
god.
opened a new can of worms. Nice.
Yeah. Oh lordy lord. Mm-mm-mm.
There we go.
Okay.
Just putting lipstick on for this one. Shit,
I got
serious.
some lip gloss. This is serious. Okay. All right. So on the topic of cheating, yes, I think that first of all, if you start a relationship and one of you is in a relationship, it shows that you don't have respect for a relationship. So if you're starting one like that, then there's always going to be something in the back of your head saying, well, if you did it to or with me, you could do it to me.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to cheat with me, then you can't be mad if another girl talks to me. There's a lot of variables with that. But also, like, for people who do cheat, figure out why it is you want to cheat. Because, a lot of people will be tempted. You might meet someone where it's like, oh, I connected with them. And you don't really know off the bat when you're talking to this person or meeting this person, however you meet them, if it's going to work out or not. But if you're willing to risk what you do know for what you don't, is it just because it's new and shiny and just different? And, is it that variable? Or is it because there's something seriously wrong in your relationship? Or is it something within you that needs to be worked on? But I do not think that cheating is something that really can be gotten past. And it's something that it comes down to discipline and self-control.
Yeah.
So if you have discipline in your life when it comes to diet and fitness and goals and stuff like that, you're more likely to have discipline and things like that too. Because if you have self-control, that kind of goes everywhere. And it all comes down to respect and integrity.
Love it. Great answer. I was going to ask something else on
Oh,
the
with
topic a bit
exes,
then.
right? The exes thing?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. So
I think
I asked as well about being friends with ex-partners and like, what's your thoughts on that?
Okay.
so. I don't think that's a good idea unless there's like very, very few scenarios where I think that's healthy or helpful to be friends with exes, especially like when you're younger. Like there probably hasn't been enough time there. And especially if like with social media now, you can just kind of keep tabs on everybody. It's like, oh, I liked you in kindergarten. Let's see how you look now. Oh, okay, that's my ex-partner. Who are you with now? Like it breeds more curiosity and more willingness to kind of reach out to people outside of your marriage or relationship, especially when it's like a marriage, you know what I mean? It's something that you really do have to discuss in the beginning. And if there's one particular ex that you really are platonic friends with, that there's no feelings, no emotions, have your partner meet that person and see how they feel, see what vibes they get. If they feel like, oh, I think they still like you, that's something you might have to reassess. If it's something that's completely cool, then, having a estranged but okay relationship with that person might still be fine. It just depends on the scenario.
Yeah, definitely. I've had situations in the past like that where I've been with girls and I've had other girl friends, like not even exes, just friends, and like my ex partners have struggled with that, and been like, because they've been cheated on in the past by their ex partners, and I've
Mm,
always been like, but I'd never do that, so it's not fair to treat me like you treat your ex partner who's cheated on you. And
true.
for me, like you said, it's like I've always had more girlfriends than boyfriends, like just in the
Mm,
sense of like I'm quite a feminine, emotional person. I've always connected quite a lot more with girls and like got on with them. And
mm.
I've had that issue in the past in relationships, so that's always been a boundary of mine. Is like, if you're gonna get with me, you have to trust me. Like I'm never gonna fucking do you over. And like, do you know what I mean? And it'd be like at work as well. I'd be like, what do you think I'm gonna do? Like take them in the work toilets and fuck them? Do you know what I mean? It's not gonna happen. But yeah, there's just
Yeah,
so
I
much
mean, it
crazy stuff like
depends.
that.
I
Yeah.
know what you mean because, like, I'm someone I get along a lot better with guys. I just feel like I have a better rapport with guys and everything. But a lot of the time, with like a relationship versus like a male friend that's completely platonic, sometimes it's like once that door is closed, if we couldn't work it out in the relationship, why is there still something there? If we couldn't work it out then, how is a friendship going to really make sense, you know? But
Yeah.
sometimes there are cases where it's like it really was just super platonic. Maybe there wasn't a lot of attraction or something. And that's why it's better as friends because there wasn't like, some hot and heavy thing. Other times I think it's good to just kind of close the door and then have like platonic friends that you haven't slept with, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to make people uncomfortable and everything, but like you said, if you're not someone who is a cheater, if you just happen to get along better with women, that would be something to, again, bring up in the very beginning and say, these are one of my prerequisites. Everyone should have 3 prerequisites, 3 deal breakers. And if your deal breaker or prerequisite, one way or the other, is these are my friends, you can meet them, but I don't want these people out of my life. And really assess, like, are the people you need in your life, or is it just like, you know, you're used to them?
Yeah.
And just discuss it.
I've got another really good question, which I
Okay.
feel like nearly all my questions have not even been off the notes as well. I've just been off the dome, and I always do this.
Good.
Now, I don't know whether this is something that you'll have an opinion on or not. It's just something that I've heard quite a few people speak about in the past. So it just popped in my mind then when we was talking about having female friends and male friends and jealousy and all stuff like that. So I spoke with someone quite recently who told me about watching like porn and that being an issue in their relationship. And I know like quite a lot of girls don't care if like the male partners watch porn, but then quite a lot of other girls do care and they class it as cheating and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on that? And do you ever have anyone come to you and kind of discuss them kind of things?
Yeah, that's something that, again, discussed on the first date.
Yeah.
First date. I didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up. But
I watched a lot of porn.
First date.
Are you okay with
porn?
that?
I didn't bring it up, though. I swear to God. He brought it up. But, okay, so ask yourself, when you're in a relationship and you are attracted to the person that you're with and you're building a connection, building a bond, is it healthy to be looking at porn versus trying to actually look at your partner in a normal sense and build a sexual connection with them? Because I feel like, especially people who watch porn regularly, they start to normalize the things in it. So I don't think that it's cheating, but I think that it's cognitively unhealthy. And I think that it makes men all of a sudden have a menu. So they're like, well, I saw this, so I want to do this. It's the Disney of men. So women are like, oh, I saw Prince Charming in a Disney movie do this. Okay, it's a movie. That's not real. But then guys see porn. Well, I saw this in a porn. Okay, that's not real either. Did you see her face? It's the same thing. It's not healthy, and it breeds delusion in people, and it breeds a lot of disappointment. You're not going to get, sex is not going to feel as good. It's not going to be as good. Intimacy isn't going to feel as good if you're used to friggin' hardcore or whatever the hell you're looking at, and then you have a normal interaction. It's like, oh, this is boring. Let's do this. Let's do this. Oh my God, can I just relax for a minute and, enjoy this? Or do we have to, now we do it here. Now we have to do it here. Now we do this. Okay, we can do all that, but not because you saw it and wanted to try it. Like, you're not a little kid. This isn't Jackass. Oh, I'm going to jump off this cliff now with a bike, So I don't think, especially in a relationship, I don't think it's healthy to look at porn. And I don't think excessive use of porn is healthy at all, just psychologically speaking. I don't consider it cheating, but if you have a partner, just calm it down and focus on them and be realistic.
Good answer.
That is a very good answer.
I think we can talk for our last thing on the menu. Is the sort of the current sort of single person epidemic, it would seem. And I just wanted like your opinion on sort of why you think that is happening, because right now I think it said, I think I read like not a headline, but there was something saying that this is the singlest generation ever, or something like that. Like the region of like 25 and 35-year-olds is the singlest it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I just want your sort of hot take or why you think that could be, or just any thoughts on that.
Yeah, so a lot of it stems to being spoiled for choice. So back in the older days, even, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago and on, if you met someone, you were excited to meet somebody and you were like, oh, wow, like I'm going to get to know this person. And you go on dates and there's courtship and you're getting to know each other in a really organic, authentic way that's supposed to lead towards marriage or a serious relationship, something like that. you're courting each other. It's, it's special and it's fun and you're looking forward to it. But now people are talking to however many people at once a lot of the time. Or I hear from guys a lot, the way that they use dating apps is just swipe on every single person and then afterwards read the profile. Whereas women are like, okay, nope, all right, I can't even see your face, wearing a hat and glasses, wearing like a ski mask or something. Nope. Like they're reading it. So the women are more discerning. And the men are just like boop 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 boop, like a gambling, like a slot machine or something. So people think that there's so many options out there. Women are being a little too picky, like, and then guys are like, everything. Okay, you're not missing the leg or teeth, you're good. So it's just like not as discerning, too discerning, but everyone still thinks there's another option. The grass is greener mentality is ruining dating, because at the end of the day, if someone has a red flag, quote unquote, which might not even be a red flag, it might just be something that is like, now the whole thing about the ick, oh, they did this, that's the ick. Well, do you want to be single forever? Do you want to wake up 80 years old in a retirement home and be like, oh, he took his dentures out? Okay, well, you're still single. Like, just, you have to be able to really assess, is this something that's a big deal, or is this something that can be overlooked? And there's one other point, and I just got off on a tangent, but just basically, you have to really. Oh, I lost it. It was such a good point too. It'll come back eventually. It'll come back.
It's fine. I've got another kind of segue off the back of that, and if it comes back to you at any point, cut me off.
Yeah, jump in.
Okay.
So, I was going to ask about the whole. So something that this is kind of two-parter. So, off the back of what Ryan said before about this being the most single period during existence or whatever, I seen a really funny stat a while ago. It might have been a year ago or something, and it was this is the highest percentage ever that old people in the 70s and 80s are catching chlamydia and stuff like that, because because it said something back in the day, people would stay married and there was that whole thing, whereas now, because there is options, people are getting divorced and the divorce rates are going up because they know that they can just go on their phone and find stuff dead easy, it's a menu. So this is what I was leading up to, which is more my question, is what do you think happens to the whole in sickness and health bullshit? Because I'm very old school, and if I'm with someone, I'm fucking with them through thick and thin and ups and downs and shit like that. And it feels like now, if someone has a bit of a dip, you're gone. Do you know what I mean? What happened to that whole support shit? Do you know what I mean? And where you're with someone and you ride that storm with them, because I feel like that's fading away a little bit, to be honest.
Faded away. That's gone.
Yeah, I know, and it's terrible because, okay, first of all, I remember the point, and then I'm going to get to that one. So when it comes to the dating apps, how it's easier, quote unquote, to find someone and assess if they're right for you. My boyfriend Ethan and I, if we had seen each other on the dating apps, first of all, I wouldn't have even shown up for him because I'm too old. I'm 39, but he's 34. And he was only looking up to 33 because at the time he was considering having 3 children or something like that. So he was just automatically looking for younger. And if we're talking about shallow stuff, in his profile picture when he was dating, he had a beard, and I'm not into facial hair as much. So we might have just overlooked each other for the most shallow things. And yet we met in person, and we have so much in common that it's almost we're the same person. And it's scary to think that you could miss out on your soulmate just because it's through an app, through a filter, and if you don't even talk to that person in real life and meet them organically or give more people a chance, you might be missing out on the one. And then for the epidemic of single people and older people, yes, I think a lot of the older people who are now in the modern age, they're falling into the same trap that the younger people are. They're like, oh, wow, now there's all these options. Now I can go back and find my high school crush. Now I could potentially date someone else. Maybe they didn't marry the right person. Maybe they, not everybody married for the right reasons back then. Nothing was perfect back then. But I feel like people had more intentions, at least. But it doesn't mean there was still not affairs and bad relationships and stuff. And a lot of people who are in elderly homes now, maybe they grew up in the 60s and 70s and 80s, free love and the AIDS epidemic. So they were probably just like, woo, freewheeling. Because the 60s and 70s, the summer of love, that's the same thing back then as what we're experiencing right now, where instead of it like kind of ebbs and flows with like freewheeling, traditional freewheeling. So I have a feeling the next generation is going to be a lot more conservative in terms of like their morals and values. It's going to be, you know, this generation and then the generation after, like your girls growing up are probably going to be a lot more conservative when it comes to that and a lot more just back to normal, you know, which is good.
That's great. That's great news, and
Yes.
I hope that does. I hope that does come to fruition. To be fair, and
Well,
I
they have
think
great fathers, it seems like, so that's, you know, that's part of it.
Thank you.
oh, you'll make me cry. But no, my little hot take on this like single person epidemic is I think a lot of people are waking up and knowing their worth, and that's great knowing that what you bring to the table and all that stuff, because I think maybe like 10, 15 years ago people would be super focused on like attraction and physicality, and then that person would say jump, they'd say how high, and then they'd just follow them into oblivion and realize, oh shit, their core values don't align with mine, their belief systems don't align with mine, and you know, they find all these sort of differences, but they're already sort of committed and all that just because they had fucking, I don't know, a bikini in their eye or something like that.
Yeah.
um but I think the issue with sort of like knowing that you're like your worth and all that, like people are struggling to find where that ends. Like
Mm.
people will meet someone and hold themselves up to such high esteems that the minute the other person shows a tiny little, oh, it's not being allowed, it's like a boop, see you later. And they've only
Mm-hmm.
made like a minor lapse in judgment, or they might have said something that you might not agree with, and which is fine. You're never going to agree with everything that the other person says. But
No.
I think the knowing your worth thing is a great like self confident thing to have. But people are putting themselves too high on a pedestal to allow people to essentially be themselves. They're sort of having to portray a polished version of yourself so you
Mm.
don't slip up, and then that person doesn't then fuck you off because you've slipped up a tiny bit. It's like
Yeah.
meet
It's
in
like
the
ego
middle.
driven.
Ego driven, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's you can have a little bit of ego because it's
Yeah.
healthy. It really is. If like anyone who says it like, oh, I don't have an ego, like you fucking do. Like stop chatting shit to yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. It just comes down to boundaries. It's not about just like, oh, I'm a strong, independent, I'm a boss bit, you know, like it doesn't have to be something crazy or it's like, oh, I only want a 10. Okay, well, look at you. Like you're not quite there. So maybe let's test that again. But like just have boundaries. That's really all it takes. Like
Yeah.
if you're it's not about just like, I know my worth. Yes, know your worth and have boundaries. Talk about those boundaries. Uphold those boundaries. Don't let someone walk all over you in disrespectful ways. Don't let someone talk down to you or disrespect you. Like, have respect in a relationship and have communication. Be transparent, not honest after the fact. Be transparent. Like, take them on the journey with you of decisions that you're making as you're making them so they feel like they're just not lost in the ether and you're actually considering their feelings when you do something, you know?
Yeah.
It's important and it builds trust if you don't have to admit something after the fact and you're able to say like, hey, I thought about this and then I didn't do it, you know, like being able to admit like I was tempted or this person hit on me, you know what I mean? Like talking about that stuff and being really open breeds trust, and that's like the foundation for everything. You can't just have a happy life and all the other stuff if you don't have the foundation first, or the roof's gonna fall.
Excellent points. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, honestly, this has been absolutely amazing. Such a good insight, and
Yes,
especially hearing it from such a wonderful woman such as yourself,
thank
giving
you.
us all the good info, and for our listeners as well. Like, it's been amazing, and like, yeah, anything to add, young J lad?
Yeah, I just wanted to add in as well. Like, I know we mentioned at the start about UK versus US and like the,
Hmm.
you know, like US people usually chew our ears off. But I just want to say, like, you've been my favourite guest from like the US
Thank
anyway. I don't know
you.
if I can say that, but
Yay,
like
I
the conversations just flowed so naturally, and like I had my notes at the start, and I literally like put my phone down,
Yeah.
not even used it. It's just flown, and I could talk to you all evening.
Freestyle.
Yeah.
And
Hope to do a part 2 at
definitely,
some point.
I was
Yeah.
actually just gonna say, like, you know, it's rare that we really do part twos, isn't it? But I was gonna
It
say,
is,
like,
but when the guest is as good as
Yeah.
Nicoletti,
It's a reoccurring thing.
I'd definitely be up for that, and like we could do it on a different take or whatever next time. Maybe do it a bit more fun
Yeah.
or interactive or something. But
we could do some quick fire questions, quick fire
Yeah.
hot take.
yeah, but
That
yeah,
sounds great.
it's been amazing, and like thank you so much for chatting with us. We've both learned a load, and
Learned a lot.
you know, it's been great to have like the conversations that we've had, and
Yeah.
looking forward to putting it out. It's been great.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me on the show, and make sure you read Dating with Purpose, How to Find the One in 1 year.
There we go.
Plug it, L.
We'll get it on. We'll put it on our Insta and share it and that. But yeah, we'll do all like the collaborative stuff when it goes live. We'll do it next Friday, and like a bit of build up beforehand. But yeah, thank you so much.
Great.
No, cheers, Stephanie. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And, yeah,
You
thank
too.
you so much.
Have a good night. Yeah, it's dark out there now.
See?
I told you.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I really had a fun time.
See you, Stephanie. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.